All right, let's jump right in. Have you ever thought about this idea, that it's possible to be walking around, totally alive physically, but at the same time, spiritually dead? It's a pretty intense concept. Today, we're going to dig into a really foundational text that talks about a journey from that exact state to being made alive. So let's unpack what this incredible transformation is all about.
I mean, it's a wild paradox when you think about it, right? To be alive, but not. The passage we're diving into uses this really strong metaphor to describe a specific human condition. So, what on earth does it actually mean to be living in that state?
Okay, so to really get a handle on the transformation, we've got to start at the beginning. The text lays out this before picture. It sets the stage by describing what things are like before anything changes, and it doesn't pull any punches. And here's the core idea. This death we're talking about, it's not physical, it's spiritual. And it's defined by, quote, transgressions and sins. Now the key here is that this isn't described as something that just happens to you. Nope, it's a state you actually live in. So that makes you wonder, okay, what's influencing this state of being?
Well, the text points to two big forces that are at play here. First, you've got this external pressure, right? The pressure just to go along with the ways of this world. But then there's also an internal driver, satisfying the cravings and desires of our own nature. So it's this powerful 1-2 punch of outside pressure and inside urges.
So what's the bottom line? What's the consequence of all this? The before picture ends with a really stark conclusion. This state of spiritual death, this life of following the world and our own cravings, it leads to a specific outcome, being, quote, deserving of wrath. Yeah, it's a pretty bleak place to start, for sure. But, and this is a big but, the story is about to take a massive turn.
And this is it. This is the turning point. After laying out the problem in such clear terms, the whole narrative just flips. It shifts completely to the solution. We're talking about an intervention that comes from a totally different direction, driven by a completely different motivation.
Just look at these two words, but God. I mean, this is the hinge on which the entire passage swings. Everything we just talked about, the death, the disobedience, the wrath, all of it is suddenly interrupted by this phrase. It's a signal that a complete 180 is about to happen.
So you got to ask why. Why the intervention? Well, the text is super clear about this. The motivation has nothing to do with us or what we've done. It's all rooted in God's own character. It says it's because God is rich in mercy and has a great love for us. That's the driving force behind this whole rescue operation. And this intervention, it unfolds in 3 incredible acts. First, you've got the direct answer to that spiritual death we started with, being made alive with Christ. Then there's an elevation, being raised up with Christ. And finally, a total change in your position and status, being seated with Him in the heavenly realms. It's not just a small tweak, it's a complete transformation from top to bottom.
But what's the end game here? What's the long-term goal? According to the text, this amazing transformation isn't supposed to be some private, secret thing. It's actually meant to be a public demonstration for all time, like a showcase of the incomparable riches of His grace. So, in a way, every single person who goes through this becomes like a living, breathing example of what God's grace looks like.
Okay, so we've seen the before, the problem, and we've seen the after, this incredible intervention. But the big question is, how does someone actually get this? How do you access this new reality? This brings us to the how, the mechanics of salvation, and it's laid out very, very specifically.
And the absolute key concept here is grace. We've got to be crystal clear on what this word means in this context. It's not just being nice or kind. It is specifically unearned favor. Think of it like this. It's getting a gift you did absolutely nothing to deserve. That single idea is the key that unlocks everything else we're about to talk about.
And here it is, maybe the most famous line from this whole section. This is the thesis statement right here. It says, "For it is by grace you've been saved through faith." So let's just pause on that. The source is grace. The way you receive it is through faith, basically through trust. And then it makes the origin unmistakable. And this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God.
The text really draws a hard line in the sand here to make sure there's no confusion. Look at this. On one side, you have what it is, a gift from God that you receive through faith. And on the other side, what it is not, from yourself or something you earn by works. This whole idea of it being a gift, not a wage, is absolutely central to the message.
And it even tells us why it's set up this way. Why isn't it based on our efforts, on our works? The answer is pretty straightforward, so that no one can boast. I mean, it makes sense, right?
If you could earn salvation, then you'd have something to brag about. But by making it a pure gift, all the credit, all the glory goes to the one who gave it. So when you step back and look at this whole journey we've just walked through, from being spiritually dead to being made alive, from deserving wrath to receiving pure grace, it all really boils down to this one huge idea. This incredible, life-altering transformation isn't something you achieve, it's something you simply receive. And that kind of leaves us with a big question to chew on, doesn't it? In a world where everything is about earning your way, about deserving what you get, what does it really mean to just accept a gift with absolutely no strings attached?